The Aurora sliced through the cold expanse of space, its engines humming softly as it raced toward Proxima Centauri. Inside, the small crew worked tirelessly, their faces illuminated by the glow of monitors and control panels. Commander Marcus Hale stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the navigation display. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, not just from the unknown forces waiting at their destination, but also from the UEDC fleet that could intercept them at any moment. Lieutenant Samira Torres sat hunched over her workstation, running diagnostics on the ship's systems. "We're pushing this cruiser harder than it was designed for," she muttered, tapping furiously at her keyboard. "If we hit even a speck of debris at these speeds, we're toast." "Then make sure nothing hits us," Hale replied without looking up. His voice carried a mix of authority and calm, though inside, he felt anything but serene. Every second counted. With less than 48 hours left on the countdown, they had no room for error. Dr. Elena Voss floated nearby, strapped into a chair as she analyzed data streaming in from long-range sensors. Her screen displayed strange anomalies ahead: gravitational distortions, pockets of intense radiation, and faint energy signatures that didn't match anything in known space charts. "There's something out there," she said, her tone laced with both excitement and unease. "It's not natural. Look at these readings. They're consistent with the artifact's energy patterns." Hale frowned, turning to face her. "You think it's connected to whoever sent the signal?" "It's possible," Elena admitted. "Maybe they left behind more than one beacon. Or maybe," she hesitated, glancing at the others before continuing, "maybe they're still out there." The thought hung heavy in the air. None of them wanted to consider what it might mean if the aliens were still alive and watching. As the Aurora ventured deeper into uncharted territory, the crew encountered increasingly bizarre phenomena. At one point, the ship passed through a field of shimmering particles that clung to the hull like static electricity. When Raj Patil examined samples under a microscope, he discovered traces of organic material fused with metallic compounds. "This isn't just dust," he murmured, his voice tinged with awe. "It's remnants, like pieces of an ancient civilization scattered across space." Mai Lin, who had been quietly observing the group, spoke up. "Do you think they knew their end was coming? That's why they built the artifact, to warn others?" Elena nodded slowly. "It makes sense. They must have seen the signs, the instability in their star system. This wasn't just about saving themselves. It was about preserving knowledge, passing the torch to whoever came next." But as inspiring as the idea was, it didn't ease the tension aboard the Aurora. Each hour brought them closer to Proxima Centauri, and further from Earth. Back home, General Khan had already declared Hale's mission unauthorized and branded the crew traitors. Bounty hunters loyal to the UEDC were likely hot on their trail, eager to claim the reward for capturing the rogue vessel. Despite the growing risks, the crew pressed on. As they approached Proxima Centauri, the first signs of alien engineering became visible. A massive structure orbiting the dying star, partially consumed by solar flares. Its surface glowed faintly, pulsating with the same rhythmic energy as the artifact back on Earth. "That's it," Hale said, his voice barely above a whisper. "That's where the signal came from." For a moment, everyone fell silent, staring at the colossal ruin looming before them. It was both beautiful and haunting, a testament to a civilization lost to time. But as the Aurora drew nearer, a new question arose. What secrets would they uncover, and at what cost? Dr. Elena Voss stared at the glowing screen in front of her, her fingers trembling slightly as she adjusted the data filters. It was late at night, early morning, really, but sleep had been the last thing on her mind for weeks. The Global Space Research Initiative, GSRI, lab was eerily quiet, save for the faint hum of servers and the occasional beep from monitoring equipment. She wasn't alone, though. Two other scientists, Raj Patel and Mai Lin, sat nearby, their faces illuminated by the soft blue light of their monitors. They were all chasing the same mystery. It had started 3 days ago. A signal, unlike anything humanity had ever detected, had appeared on the edge of Earth's listening range. At first, it seemed like random noise, something that could easily be dismissed as cosmic interference or a glitch in the system. But then, patterns began to emerge. Repeating sequences. Mathematical precision. This wasn't natural. It couldn't be. "Are you seeing this?" Elena whispered, her voice barely audible over the silence of the lab. She pointed to a graph on her screen showing peaks and valleys of energy, perfectly spaced apart. This is deliberate." Raj leaned over, his brow furrowed. "Deliberate? You mean someone, or something, is sending this?" Elena nodded slowly. "I don't know what else it could be. Look at these intervals. They're too consistent to be random." Her heart raced as she thought about the implications. Alien contact. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of finding life beyond Earth. Now, here it was, a signal coming from Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. Me joined them, holding a tablet with decoded fragments of the transmission. "I ran some preliminary analysis," she said, her tone cautious but excited. "There's more to it than just patterns. There are coordinates embedded in the signal." "Coordinates?" Elena asked, leaning closer. "To where?" "To Earth," Matt replied, her dark eyes wide. "Specifically, Antarctica." The room fell silent. The weight of the discovery pressed down on all of them. Why would an alien civilization send a message containing coordinates pointing to Earth? Was it an invitation? A warning? Or something far more sinister? Elena stood up abruptly, pacing back and forth. "We need to tell someone. Someone higher up. This isn't just our discovery anymore. It's global." But even as she spoke, doubts crept into her mind. Governments weren't always rational when it came to unknown threats. Would they see this as an opportunity for diplomacy? Or would fear take over, leading to panic and militarization? History had taught her that humans often reacted poorly to the unfamiliar. By dawn, the GSRI headquarters buzzed with activity. News of the signal spread quickly through secure channels, reaching world leaders and military commanders. Within hours, debates erupted across continents. Some called for immediate action, urging exploration teams to investigate the Antarctic site. Others demanded caution, arguing that rushing in blindly could provoke unintended consequences. As Elena watched the chaos unfold from her office window, she felt a strange mix of awe and dread. Humanity stood on the brink of something monumental, a moment that could redefine its place in the universe. But one question lingered in her mind, refusing to let go. What if they weren't ready? The news of the alien signal spread like wildfire, igniting a storm of reactions across the globe. By midday, every major news outlet had plastered the story on their front pages. "Alien contact confirmed," screamed one headline, while another read, "Is Earth under threat?" Social media exploded with theories, some wild, others terrifying. Conspiracy theorists claimed the signal was a hoax orchestrated by governments to justify military expansion. Others insisted it was a test, perhaps from rogue factions within humanity itself. Amid the chaos, one thing became clear: the world was deeply divided. At the United Nations headquarters in New York City, representatives from nearly every nation gathered for an emergency summit. The room buzzed with tension as delegates argued over how to respond. Some advocated for caution and diplomacy, urging patience before jumping to conclusions. Others, however, saw the signal as a potential threat that required immediate action. "We cannot afford to wait," General Adira Khan of the United Earth Defense Coalition, UEDC, declared, her voice cutting through the noise. Standing tall in her crisp uniform, she addressed the assembly with unwavering authority. "If this signal is indeed from an extraterrestrial source, we must assume the worst-case scenario. They know where we are. They've sent us coordinates. What if this isn't communication? What if it's preparation for invasion?" Her words sent a ripple of unease through the crowd. Many nodded in agreement, their faces pale with worry. But not everyone shared her perspective. Dr. Elena Voss, who had been invited to present her findings, stepped forward hesitantly. Her soft-spoken demeanor contrasted sharply with the general's commanding presence. "General Khan, I understand your concerns," Elena began, clutching a folder filled with data. "But we don't yet know the intent behind this signal. It could be a message of peace, or even a warning. We need time to study it further before we escalate matters." Khan's eyes narrowed. "Time is a luxury we may not have, Doctor. History has shown us that hesitation can lead to disaster. If there's even a chance this poses a threat to Earth, we must act decisively." The debate raged on for hours, but eventually, fear won out. With overwhelming support, the UEDC was granted full authority to investigate the Antarctic site. Reconnaissance drones were dispatched immediately, equipped with advanced sensors and weapons just in case. Troops stationed near the South Pole were placed on high alert, ready to mobilize at a moment's notice. Meanwhile, outside the walls of power, public opinion fractured further. In bustling cities and quiet towns alike, people reacted in wildly different ways. Some celebrated the possibility of alien contact, lighting candles and organizing vigils for peace. Others barricaded themselves indoors, stocking up on supplies as though doomsday loomed around the corner. Protests erupted in several countries, with activists chanting slogans like "No war for aliens" and "Protect our planet." Back in Antarctica, the first wave of drones reached the designated coordinates. Beneath layers of ice, they detected something extraordinary, a massive structure buried deep underground. Its surface shimmered faintly, emitting low-frequency vibrations that matched the rhythm of the mysterious signal. Images transmitted back to command centers showed intricate carvings etched into the structure's exterior, designs unlike anything human hands had ever created. As scientists analyzed the footage, whispers of awe turned into murmurs of dread. Whatever this object was, it wasn't natural. And as the countdown embedded in the signal ticked closer to zero, no one could shake the feeling that Earth was standing on the edge of something far greater and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The cosmic catastrophe struck Earth just as the alien countdown reached zero. A massive wave of radiation surged outward from Proxima Centauri, bathing the solar system in lethal energy. But thanks to the hastily constructed planetary shield, humanity survived, scared but intact. The skies above Earth glowed eerily for hours, a haunting reminder of how close they had come to annihilation. Yet amidst the fear and uncertainty, there was also awe. Humanity had stared into the abyss and emerged stronger. In the days that followed, the world began to heal. Governments that had once been divided now worked together with unprecedented unity. The United Earth Defense Coalition, UEDC, once a symbol of militaristic aggression, restructured itself to focus on scientific collaboration and planetary defense. General Adira Khan, disgraced by her role in escalating tensions, stepped down quietly, leaving behind a legacy of lessons learned the hard way. Dr. Elena Voss became a global figurehead, her name synonymous with courage and ingenuity. She traveled across continents, sharing the story of Commander Marcus Hale and the crew of the Aurora. Their sacrifices were immortalized in museums, documentaries, and memorials dedicated to their bravery. The artifact recovered from Antarctica found a new home in an international museum designed to celebrate interspecies understanding, a beacon of hope rather than fear. Elena often stood before crowds, recounting the final moments of the mission. "Commander Hale didn't just save us," she would say, her voice trembling with emotion. "He reminded us of what it means to be human, to put others before ourselves, even when the odds seem impossible." But the impact went beyond heroics. The discovery of the alien civilization forced humanity to confront its place in the universe. For centuries, humans had wondered if they were alone. Now, faced with evidence of a species that had risen to greatness only to fall victim to forces beyond their control, people began to rethink their priorities. Wars ceased, Borders blurred, and resources were redirected toward exploration and innovation. 1 year after the crisis, Earth launched its first interstellar expedition. Named the Guardian Initiative, the mission aimed to uncover more about the alien civilization and search for signs of life elsewhere in the galaxy. Elena served as its chief scientist, leading a diverse team of researchers determined to honor the legacy of those who had paved the way. Back on Earth, life flourished in ways no one could have imagined. Cities rebuilt themselves with sustainable technologies inspired by the alien designs. Education systems emphasized curiosity over competition, teaching children not only about science, but also empathy and cooperation. Even skeptics admitted that the near apocalypse had sparked something extraordinary, a renaissance fueled by resilience and hope. As stars twinkled above a united planet, humanity looked outward once more, not as conquerors, but as explorers ready to forge alliances among the cosmos. And somewhere far away, another signal began to blink, faint but steady, hinting at new mysteries waiting to be unraveled. The discovery of the countdown timer sent shockwaves through Earth's governments, military factions, and scientific communities. News of the artifact's behavior spread quickly, though details were carefully controlled by the United Earth Defense Coalition, UEDC. General Adira Khan wasted no time framing the event as an act of aggression. In a press conference broadcast worldwide, she stood sternly before cameras, her expression unyielding. "This alien device has demonstrated the ability to disable our technology," she declared, pointing to footage of the Antarctic team struggling in the dark. "It is not only aware of our presence, but actively hostile. We must assume it is a precursor to invasion." Her words struck fear into millions. Panic buying surged, stock markets plummeted, and conspiracy theories multiplied overnight. Social media erupted with hashtags like #AlienThreat and #EarthUnderAttack, while protests demanding immediate action clashed with peace rallies pleading for restraint. The divide between those who trusted the military's judgment and those who believed diplomacy should prevail grew wider by the hour. Dr. Elena Voss watched the chaos unfold from her lab, frustration bubbling beneath her calm exterior. She had tried repeatedly to explain that the artifact wasn't inherently dangerous. It was reacting defensively or trying to communicate, but her voice was drowned out by louder, more fearful ones. When she requested an audience with General Khan to present her findings, she was denied access. Instead, she found herself sidelined, reduced to analyzing data remotely while the UEDC prepared for war. Commander Marcus Hale returned to headquarters after extracting the artifact from Antarctica. The crystalline sphere now sat in a secure containment chamber, surrounded by armed guards and monitored by scientists working around the clock. Despite its ominous appearance, the artifact remained eerily silent, except for the countdown, which continued ticking down without pause. Hale couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something critical. During his debriefing with General Khan, he raised concerns about rushing to conclusions. "Ma'am, we don't fully understand what this thing is capable of yet. What if disabling our tech wasn't an attack? What if it's trying to protect itself, or us?" Khan's sharp gaze locked onto him. "Protect us? Commander, let me remind you that humanity cannot afford to gamble when faced with the unknown. History shows that underestimating threats leads to disaster. If we wait too long to act, we risk losing control of the situation entirely." Her logic was cold, calculated, and impossible to argue against, at least publicly. Privately, however, Hale began questioning whether following orders blindly was the right choice. He reached out to Dr. Voss secretly, arranging a meeting away from prying eyes. Together, they reviewed the latest data on the artifact, searching for clues that might support Voss's theory. "There's more to this countdown than meets the eye," Voss explained, pointing to patterns in the signal fragments. "Look at these sequences. They're not random. They correspond to celestial events. I think the artifact is warning us about something catastrophic, not just here on Earth, but across multiple star systems." Hale frowned, leaning closer to the screen. "A warning? About what?" I'm still piecing it together, Voss admitted, but my best guess is that it's related to Proxima Centauri. There's evidence of instability in that system, a potential supernova or gamma-ray burst. If true, it would devastate anything within range, including us. The implications hit Hale like a punch to the gut. If Voss was right, then the artifact wasn't a weapon, it was a lifeline. But convincing others wouldn't be easy, especially with the UEDC already mobilizing its fleet for an interstellar strike against Proxima Centauri. We need proof, Hale said finally, his voice low but resolute. Something undeniable that we can take to the General and the world. Voss nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. Then we'd better work fast, because if we fail— She glanced at the artifact's glowing countdown. We might not get another chance. Back in the Sol system, Earth teetered on the brink of chaos. The UEDC fleet, now halfway to Proxima Centauri, continued its relentless march toward what many still believed was an alien threat. General Adara Khan sat in her command center, monitoring updates from both the fleet and intelligence operatives tracking Commander Hale's rogue mission. Her expression remained stoic, but frustration simmered beneath the surface. She had no tolerance for insubordination, especially not when humanity's survival seemed to hang in the balance. "Sir, we've intercepted a transmission from the Aurora," one of her aides reported, handing her a tablet displaying encrypted data. "It appears they've sent something directly to global networks." Khan's eyes narrowed as she scanned the contents. It was fragmented but unmistakable, evidence of the alien civilization's demise, detailed warnings about the impending cosmic catastrophe, and undeniable proof that the artifact wasn't a weapon, it was a lifeline. For a moment, doubt flickered across her face. Could she have been wrong? Had her haste condemned Earth to unnecessary conflict? But pride quickly stifled any second-guessing. "This changes nothing," she snapped, slamming the tablet onto the table. "Even if their intentions were noble, the fact remains that these aliens failed to protect themselves. What makes you think we can succeed where they fell short?" Her subordinates exchanged uneasy glances but said nothing. Orders were orders, and questioning them would only invite retribution. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Elena Voss's transmission ignited a firestorm. Governments scrambled to verify the data while citizens grappled with the shocking revelations. Protesters flooded streets worldwide, demanding an immediate halt to the military campaign against Proxima Centauri. Scientists pleaded with world leaders to redirect resources toward planetary defense instead of interstellar warfare. Yet skepticism lingered. Some dismissed the findings as propaganda orchestrated by rebels like Hale. Amid the turmoil, General Khan doubled down on her resolve. "If Commander Hale thinks he can undermine my authority, he's gravely mistaken," she declared during a private briefing with high-ranking officers. "Order all available ships to intercept the Aurora. I want them detained, and the crew brought before me." Unbeknownst to Khan, however, dissent brewed within her own ranks. Lieutenant Daniel Kruz, a trusted officer aboard the flagship vessel leading the fleet, struggled with his conscience. He had joined the military to protect humanity, not wage war based on fear-mongering and assumptions. When he learned of Hale's discovery, it forced him to confront uncomfortable truths about loyalty and duty. That night, under the guise of routine maintenance, Kruz accessed restricted communication channels. Using coded messages, he reached out to the Aurora, hoping to broker a truce, or at least buy time for diplomacy to take hold. His actions did not go unnoticed. A fellow officer, suspicious of his behavior, reported him to command. "Lieutenant Kruz," Khan's voice crackled over the intercom hours later, cold and unyielding. "You are hereby relieved of your duties pending investigation. Any further acts of treason will be met with severe consequences." As Kruz was escorted off the bridge, shame burned in his chest, but also resolve. He wasn't alone in doubting Khan's leadership. Across the fleet, whispers of rebellion began to spread among those who believed humanity deserved better than blind obedience to militarism. On board the Aurora, Hale, and his crew monitored the situation anxiously. With the megastructure destroyed and their mission accomplished, they faced a new dilemma. Should they surrender peacefully and risk being silenced, or continue fighting to ensure the truth prevailed? "We're running out of allies," Samara muttered, staring at radar readings showing multiple ships closing in. "What do we do now?" Hale clenched his fists, determination etched into every line of his face. "We fight, for Earth, for the aliens who tried to save us, and for everyone too scared to speak up. If we don't stand our ground, no one will." The Aurora powered up its engines, ready to face whatever came next. In the distance, the UEDC fleet loomed larger, its lights cutting through the void like predatory eyes. The Aurora hurtled through space, its engines straining as it evaded the UEDC fleet's pursuit. Commander Marcus Hale gripped the controls tightly, sweat beading on his forehead, despite the cool air of the cockpit. Behind him, Lieutenant Samira Torres worked frantically to reroute power from non-essential systems to shields and thrusters. The crew knew they couldn't outrun the fleet forever, but every second counted. "We're not going to make it back to Earth in time," Alina said quietly, her voice heavy with dread. She stared at the countdown timer displayed on one of the monitors. Less than 24 hours remained until the cosmic disaster struck. Even if we could get this data to everyone on the planet right now, constructing a planetary shield would take days, maybe weeks. Hale didn't respond immediately. His mind raced, weighing their dwindling options. Then, an idea sparked. A desperate, almost impossible plan. "What if we don't need to go all the way back?" he asked, turning to face the group. "The artifact gave us the key to surviving this. Maybe we can use what we've learned to buy Earth more time." Samara frowned, catching on quickly. "You mean replicate the technology here, out in space?" "Exactly," Hale replied. "That megastructure wasn't just a warning beacon. It was also a stabilizer. If we can reverse engineer its energy patterns using the data we recovered, we might be able to create a temporary shield around Earth ourselves." "It's insane," Raj muttered, shaking his head. "But insane is better than nothing." With no other choice, the crew threw themselves into the task. Using the Aurora's limited fabrication tools, they began assembling components based on the alien schematics. Alina led the effort, her hands moving deftly as she pieced together circuits and conduits. Madeline coordinated communications, broadcasting instructions to rogue scientists and engineers sympathetic to their cause who had infiltrated Earth's defense networks. Meanwhile, the UEDC fleet closed in. General Khan's flagship launched a volley of warning shots, forcing the Aurora to perform evasive maneuvers that nearly tore the ship apart. The stress took its toll. Alarms blared constantly, and sparks flew from overloaded systems. "You're running out of time, Hale." Khan's voice boomed over an open channel. "Stand down, or I'll have no choice but to destroy you." Hale ignored her, focusing instead on the task at hand. "Almost there," Alina shouted, her voice cracking with exhaustion. A faint hum filled the cabin as the makeshift device powered up. It was crude compared to the aliens' technology, but it worked. A shimmering barrier extended outward, enveloping the Aurora in a protective cocoon of energy. "This won't hold for long," Samara warned, monitoring the readings. "But it should give us enough time to deploy the shield around Earth." Summoning every ounce of courage, Hale transmitted the activation sequence to Earth's orbital satellites. The signal spread like wildfire, triggering a chain reaction that synchronized global energy grids. Within minutes, a faint glow appeared in Earth's atmosphere, a fragile yet functional planetary shield. As the shield stabilized, the Aurora's own defenses collapsed under relentless fire from the UEDC fleet. The ship shuddered violently, smoke filling the cabin. "Evacuate," Hale ordered, helping his crew board escape pods. But when it came to his turn, he stayed behind. "No," Alina cried, reaching for him from her pod. "Marcus, come with us." "I'm staying to ensure the shield stays active," he said firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Go. Tell them what we did. And why." Tears streaming down her face, Alina obeyed. As the escape pods launched into the void, the Aurora erupted in a brilliant explosion, its sacrifice ensuring humanity's survival. Back on Earth, billions watched the skies light up, not with destruction, but with hope. The Aurora approached the derelict alien megastructure with caution, its sleek frame dwarfed by the colossal ruin orbiting Proxima Centauri. The structure was a labyrinth of shimmering metal and crystalline panels, some sections glowing faintly while others were darkened, scorched by centuries of exposure to stellar radiation. As the crew scanned the exterior, their sensors picked up faint energy pulses, echoes of life long extinguished. "This place, it's incredible," Dr. Elena Voss whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of awe and sorrow. She stared at the holographic display projecting images of the structure's intricate design. "It's like a library, an archive of everything they knew." Commander Marcus Hale guided the ship closer, his hands steady on the controls despite the weight of what they were about to uncover. "Let's focus on finding answers first," he said firmly. "We don't have much time left." Lieutenant Samira Torres patched into the structure's internal systems using a remote drone. After several tense minutes, she managed to establish a connection. "There's still power running through parts of this thing," she reported, her eyes scanning lines of alien code scrolling across her screen. "But it's unstable. If we go in, we'll need to move fast." With no other options, the team suited up and boarded a shuttle, leaving the Aurora docked near the structure's outer shell. As they passed through an airlock-like entrance, the interior revealed itself as a vast, cavernous space filled with towering spires and floating platforms. Holographic projections flickered erratically, displaying scenes of alien cities, star maps, and mathematical equations far beyond human comprehension. "This isn't just architecture, it's art," Madeline murmured, gazing at the ethereal beauty surrounding them. "They must have been so advanced. And yet, they couldn't save themselves," Raj Patel added grimly. He pointed to scorch marks lining the walls, evidence of catastrophic destruction. "Whatever happened here, it wiped them out completely." Alina led the group deeper into the structure, following a trail of faint energy signals. Eventually, they reached a central chamber where a massive console stood, pulsating with light. When Alina activated it, the room came alive with holograms detailing the history of the alien civilization. They watched as vibrant worlds turned barren, consumed by a supernova that had engulfed their star system. The final message was clear, a desperate warning to any species within range of the impending cosmic disaster. "They knew it was coming," Alina said softly, tears welling in her eyes. "They tried to warn us. And now we're running out of time." Hale clenched his fists, his jaw tight with determination. "We need to get this data back to Earth. It's proof, not just of their existence, but of why we need to act now." As they downloaded the information, the structure began to destabilize. Energy surges rippled through the walls, causing debris to fall from above. The countdown embedded in the artifact's timer accelerated, its numbers flashing faster than before. "We've triggered something," Raj shouted, backing away from the console. "This whole place is collapsing." Without hesitation, Hale made a decision. "Elena, take the data and get back to the shuttle. I'll stay behind and stabilize the core. If I can buy us enough time, maybe we can delay the collapse until you're safe." "No," Elena protested, grabbing his arm. "You can't do this alone." "It's not up for debate," Hale replied, his tone resolute. "Earth needs this information more than it needs me. Now go." Reluctantly, the team retreated, leaving Hale behind as he worked frantically to contain the cascading failures. Back aboard the Aurora, Alina transmitted the recovered data directly to Earth, overriding military firewalls to ensure the truth reached every corner of the planet. As the megastructure crumbled into the fiery embrace of Proxima Centauri, the crew watched in silence, mourning the loss of a guardian who had sacrificed everything to protect strangers across the stars. With time running out and tensions escalating, Dr. Elena Voss worked tirelessly in her lab, poring over every fragment of data collected from the artifact. Commander Marcus Hale stood nearby, watching as she pieced together the alien message like a jigsaw puzzle. Despite the urgency pressing down on them, Elena's movements were methodical, her focus unwavering. She knew one mistake could mean disaster, not just for their mission, but for all of humanity. "This sequence here," she said, pointing to a string of symbols on her screen. "It matches the orbital patterns of Proxima Centauri's star system. And this part," her finger traced another section of the decoded signal. "It corresponds to radiation spikes consistent with stellar collapse." Hale leaned closer, his brow furrowed. "So you're saying, whatever's happening there is going to affect us too?" Elena nodded grimly. "Exactly. If my calculations are correct, we're looking at a massive cosmic event, a supernova or gamma-ray burst, that will devastate everything within hundreds of light years, including Earth." The weight of her words settled heavily between them. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of encountering intelligent life beyond its own planet. Now, faced with undeniable proof of extraterrestrial existence, they realized it came not as salvation, but as a dire warning. "We need to get this information to General Khan," Hale said firmly. "If we can show her the evidence, maybe she'll call off the fleet." But Elena shook her head, her expression skeptical. "You know she won't listen. Not without concrete proof. And even then, she might see it as confirmation that the aliens are responsible for the threat. To her, this artifact isn't a messenger, it's a weapon." Hale clenched his jaw, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. He had sworn an oath to protect Earth, but how could he do that when those in power refused to see the bigger picture? Then an idea struck him, one so risky it bordered on reckless. "What if we intercept the fleet ourselves?" he suggested, his voice low but intense. "We take a prototype cruiser, gather enough evidence along the way, and force them to listen. If we can prove your theory before they reach Proxima Centauri, we might still have a chance." Elena stared at him, stunned. "That's insane. You'd be branded traitors, and worse, you'd risk getting everyone killed." "I'm open to better ideas," Hale replied dryly. When Elena didn't respond, he continued, "Look, I don't like it either, but sitting here waiting for permission isn't going to save anyone. We've got less than 72 hours until the countdown ends. Whatever happens after that, we may not survive it." After a long pause, Elena sighed deeply. "All right, but we'll need help, people who trust us and understand what's at stake." Together, they assembled a small team of allies. Lieutenant Samira Torres, whose engineering expertise would be crucial for navigating deep space. Raj Patel, a former GSRI scientist disillusioned with the UEDC's militaristic approach. And Mei Lin, whose diplomatic skills might come in handy if they encountered resistance. Under cover of darkness, they boarded the Aurora, a sleek experimental stealth cruiser designed for reconnaissance missions. As the ship lifted off, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind, Hale addressed his crew over the intercom. "This isn't just about stopping a war," he said, his tone steady despite the gravity of their task. "It's about proving that humanity can rise above fear and mistrust. If we succeed, we might just earn the right to call ourselves explorers instead of conquerors." Below them, Earth grew smaller and smaller, its blue-green surface shimmering faintly against the vast blackness of space. The countdown continued ticking away, relentless and unforgiving. Ahead lay Proxima Centauri, and the truth that could either unite humanity or destroy it forever. The Antarctic winds howled mercilessly as Commander Marcus Hale led his team toward the mysterious structure buried beneath miles of ice. Dressed in insulated suits designed to withstand sub-zero temperatures, the group moved cautiously across the frozen expanse. Each step felt heavier than the last, not just because of their gear, but because of the weight of what they were about to uncover. Behind them trailed a convoy of rovers carrying equipment for excavation and defense. The United Earth Defense Coalition, UEDC, had spared no expense. This mission was humanity's first real brush with the unknown. As they approached the site, the ground beneath their boots seemed to hum faintly, vibrating with an energy that wasn't entirely natural. Engineers worked quickly to drill through the thick ice, revealing glimpses of something metallic and gleaming below. Hours passed before they finally broke through, exposing a massive crystalline sphere embedded within the ancient structure. Its surface shimmered with iridescent hues, reflecting light in ways that made it appear almost alive. The sight left everyone speechless. This is impossible," muttered Dr. Pryor, the team's lead archaeologist, her breath fogging up her visor. She reached out tentatively, her gloved hand hovering inches above the artifact. "It doesn't look like any material we've ever encountered." Commander Hale stepped closer, his eyes scanning the sphere for signs of danger. "Stay sharp, everyone. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Despite his stoic demeanor, even he couldn't hide the awe in his voice. This wasn't just science fiction come to life. It was history unfolding right before their eyes. The team activated portable scanners, hoping to gather data without disturbing the artifact. At first, nothing happened. Then, without warning, the sphere pulsed brightly, emitting a low-frequency hum that resonated through the icy chamber. Everyone froze, their hearts pounding as the hum grew louder, more insistent. Suddenly, holographic projections erupted from the sphere, filling the air with swirling images of unfamiliar star systems, strange creatures, and cryptic symbols. "What is this?" whispered Lieutenant Samira Torres, one of the engineers. Her voice trembled as she watched the holograms flicker and shift. "Is it trying to communicate?" Before anyone could answer, the sphere emitted another pulse, this time sharper, more intense. Every electronic device in the vicinity shut down instantly, plunging the team into darkness. Panic rippled through the group as radios crackled uselessly and lights flickered out. For several agonizing seconds, all they could hear was the sound of their own breathing and the distant roar of the wind outside. "Everyone, stay calm," Hale barked, his voice cutting through the tension. He pulled out a flare gun and fired it into the air, casting a dim orange glow over the scene. In its light, they saw that the sphere had changed. It now displayed a glowing countdown timer, its numbers ticking downward ominously. Back at UEDC headquarters, alarms blared as satellite feeds confirmed the blackout. General Adira Khan slammed her fist on the table, her face flushed with anger. "What do you mean? All systems are down. That thing isn't just communicating. It's attacking." Dr. Elena Voss, who had been monitoring the operation remotely, shook her head vehemently. "No, General. This isn't an attack. It's reacting to our presence. Whatever it is, it's intelligent. And it's trying to tell us something." But Khan wasn't convinced. To her, the artifact's actions were proof enough of hostility. "Intelligent or not, we can't take chances. Order the team to secure the site and prepare for extraction. If that thing poses a threat, we neutralize it." Hale's earpiece crackled back to life moments later, relaying the general's orders. He clenched his jaw, torn between duty and instinct. Something about the artifact didn't feel malevolent. It felt urgent, desperate even. But with the countdown ticking away and uncertainty hanging heavy in the frigid air, he knew there was no time to debate. "All right, people," he said firmly, addressing his team. "Let's get this thing contained and figure out what it wants. Fast." As the crew scrambled to comply, none of them noticed the faint ripple spreading outward from the sphere, a ripple that seemed to echo through the very fabric of space itself.